BRAWLHALLA just launched a brand new balance patch with tons of changes to many characters, as well as the long-awaited adjustments to the newest legend, Priya, who along with this patch is now tournament legal, which we'll be getting into shortly. But starting with blasters, neutral light now has a stun increase of 1 frame and a decreased force of 10 for more reliable follow-ups into the higher percentages. Blaster's side light also saw a stun increase from 22 to a variable range of between 18 and 24, along with a 5 damage decrease. Chakram saw a lot of changes, with all aerial attacks getting a decreased amount of acceleration in the air. Fused side light got an increase in force from 30 to 35. Fused side air got a force increase of 2 to its fixed force and 3 to its variable force. Chakram fused down air sees a slight decrease in its variable force going from 40 to 38. Moving on to the split version, we have neutral light, which now has a decrease on its stun by 2 and the recover time on hit from 11 frames to 9. Neutral air had a stun decrease for more consistent dodge windows, and now impulses the user during the first hit so the move doesn't drop as much. Chakram split down air has a decrease on its stun on the aerial version from 19 to between 16 and 17, the grounded version from 25 to between 21 and 23, and the far grounded version from 18 to a range of 17 to 19. Chakram's split recovery also got a 2 decrease to its variable force from 40 to 38. Gauntlets are getting nerfs with side air, getting an increased time to hit from 12 to 13, making D-Light into Sare no longer true. Recovery also has 4 extra frames added to its recovery time on whiff. Greatsword has been adjusted in this patch to not be able to input dashes, dodges, or jumps as quickly after side light and end light openers, with a delay of 5 frames on both moves. They also decrease the stun for players to be able to escape strings, such as side light into neutral light, down light into end light bridge, neutral light into side light bridge, and down light into side light. Hammer received all-round buffs to its damage, with neutral lights increasing by 1, side light getting a 2 damage increase. Neutral air is increased by 2, and so is side air. Katar's got the exact opposite treatment with a total of 4 damage decreases. End light was reduced by 2, side light had a decrease of 3, down light with a 3 damage decrease from 12 to 9, and side air with a 2 damage decrease from 16 to 14. Rocket Lance had some of its power shifted from its aerials to its grounded light attacks. End light had an increase of 2 to both fixed and variable force. Neutral air had the same treatment as Chakram and can no longer drift as much. Down air had its hitbox adjusted for less threat coverage. And exhausted recovery now has an increased time to hit, and its fixed force decreased by 5 and variable force by 4. Sword has seen significant nerfs with neutral light and side light getting increased recovery time on miss. Sword down light now comes out 1 frame slower and also had its recovery time increased on miss. Side air had its acceleration decreased on both hit and on miss. And down air sees a nerf to its acceleration both on hit and on miss, and increased recover time on miss for easier punishes. Now for character adjustments, Azoth got a buff to his bow signatures, with neutral sig getting a force increase and side sig getting a force and damage increase. Ember received buffs on her bow neutral sig, getting increased force along with her Katar's neutral signature and side signature. Lord Vrax received a buff to his lance side signature's force, and his down sig got a 3 damage increase. Neutral signature and down signature on blasters also received buffs to their force. Magyar received a damage and force buff on his greatsword down sig, increased force and damage on his hammer side sig, and increased force on both his grounded and aerial versions of his hammer down sig. Nyx received 2 buffs with increased force on side signature and more damage on blaster's down signature. Priya was altered quite a bit with her chakram neutral sig, having 6 more frames added to recovery time on miss. Side signature increased its recovery time and decreased its force, and down sig had 2 frames added also. On sword, the hitbox of the final hit of her neutral sig was adjusted, and recovery time was increased. This now makes her tournament legal. Ragnir gets 2 force buffs to Katar's side signature and axe down signature. Sir Roland's neutral signature now has increased force. Ulgrim received heavy nerfs due to his presence in 2s, with axe neutral signature getting a damage nerf, side sig getting force and damage nerfs, and down sig getting a considerable force nerf. Ulgrim's lance neutral sig got a force reduction, and side sig has decreased force and damage. Wushang got the same treatment, as I'm sure you're all aware how good they are together. His Gauntlets neutral sig received a damage decrease and his side sig received a force decrease. On Spear, his neutral and side signatures both received a damage and force decrease. So how are you feeling about this patch? Is your favorite legend in luck, or do you have to switch mains this season? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.